The glass jar hit the granite counter with a heavy thud. It wasn't a piggy bank. It was an old mayonnaise jar, scraped clean, label peeling off. Inside, quarters and dimes pressed against the glass like they were trying to escape. The sound stopped the entire waiting room. Phones went down, magazines lowered. Every set of eyes at Mercy General Hospital turned to look at the source of the noise. Standing there was a boy. He couldn't have been more than 8 years old. His coat was 2 sizes too big. The sleeves were rolled up in thick, clumsy cuffs, keeping his hands warm. He wore sneakers that had seen summer, fall, and winter, but were clearly not built for the Chicago snow melting on the lobby floor. His nose was red from the cold, but his eyes were burning with a terrifying kind of focus. The receptionist blinked. She looked at the jar, then she looked down at the boy. Her name tag said Brenda. She had been working this desk for 20 years. She thought she had seen everything. "Can I help you, son?" she asked. Her voice was kind, but tired. It was the voice of a woman who had already told 50 people no before lunch. The boy didn't smile. He pushed the jar forward just an inch. "I'm here to buy a heart." The lobby went dead silent. You could hear the hum of the vending machine in the corner. You could hear the wind rattling the automatic doors behind him. Brenda leaned forward. She adjusted her glasses. "Excuse me." "My sister," the boy said. His voice didn't shake, not even a little. "Her name is Maya. She's in room 402. The doctor said her heart is broken. He said she needs a new operation or she won't wake up." He tapped the metal lid of the jar, "So I brought the money. I want to pay for it now." Brenda's face softened. The annoyance vanished, replaced by a deep, aching pity. She knew room 402. She knew the little girl with the failing valves, and she knew the cost of the surgery. It wasn't something a mayonnaise jar could fix. It wasn't something 10,000 mayonnaise jars could fix. "Honey," she whispered. "Does your mom know you're here?" "She's working," the boy said. "She's always working. She cries at night when she thinks I'm asleep. She says we can't afford the famous doctor. She says we have to wait for a miracle." He stood up straighter. "I'm the miracle." It was the kind of thing only a child could say. Pure, impossible, heartbreaking. Brenda opened her mouth to speak. She was going to tell him to put the jar back in his coat. She was going to break his heart gently, but she never got the chance. Because the double doors behind the desk swung open, and out walked Dr. Marcus Sterling, the chief of surgery, the man whose hands were insured for $5 million. He was tall, immaculate. His white coat was starched so stiff it looked like armor. He had heard everything. He stopped in the middle of the hallway. He looked at Brenda. He looked at the boy, and then, slowly, his gaze fell on the dirty glass jar sitting on his pristine counter. "Is this the brother?" Dr. Sterling asked. His voice was like ice. The boy nodded. "I'm Leo." Dr. Sterling checked his watch. He had a golf game in 40 minutes. He had a donor dinner at 7. He had a life that didn't include wet sneakers and mayonnaise jars. "Take the money home, kid," the doctor said. He didn't even slow down as he walked toward the exit. "Your sister is comfortable. We're doing what we can. But surgery isn't like buying a candy bar." He pushed past the boy. He hit the button for the automatic doors, but Leo didn't move. "Wait," Leo screamed. It wasn't a request, it was an order. Dr. Sterling stopped. He turned around, annoyed. "What?" he snapped. Leo grabbed the jar. He unscrewed the lid with a violent shake. He dumped the contents onto the counter. Coins spilled everywhere. Some rolled off the edge and hit the floor. Crumpled dollar bills, stiff with cold, fluttered into a pile. $1, $5, quarters, pennies. It looked like trash. But to Leo, it looked like an army. "It's $42.50, Leo said. He was breathing hard now. The tears were starting to come, fighting against his will. "I shoveled walks. I returned bottles. I sold my bike." He pointed a shaking finger at the pile. "Is it enough? Just tell me, is it enough to fix her?" Dr. Sterling sighed. He looked at the ceiling. He looked at the floor. He was a man of science, of numbers, of hard realities. He walked back to the counter. He placed both hands on the cool stone and leaned down until he was face to face with Leo. "Son," he said, and this time, his voice wasn't cold, it was just sad. "This surgery costs $200,000. He let the number hang in the air. "You have $40. Dr. Sterling reached out. He gently pushed a crumpled $5 bill back toward the boy. "Go home to your mother, Leo. Spend this on a hot meal. Be with your sister while you can, that was the truth. The brutal, ugly truth. Dr. Sterling turned his back. He had done his duty. He had been honest. He started walking away again, but he didn't know about the secret in Leo's pocket. He didn't know that $42 wasn't the only thing Leo had brought, and he certainly didn't know that the next 10 seconds were about to destroy the man he thought he was. Leo didn't leave. He reached into the deep pocket of his oversized coat. His hand closed around something cold and metal. He had promised his dad he would never trade it. He had promised he would keep it safe. It was the only thing left of the man who had vanished into the war overseas 4 years ago, but promises to the dead don't save the living. Leo pulled his hand out. Dr. Sterling. Leo yelled. The doctor stopped. His shoulders slumped. He was getting angry now. What? He snapped. Leo held out his hand. His fist was clenched tight. Then, slowly, he opened his fingers. Sitting in his dirty, small palm was a watch. It wasn't just a watch. It was a silver pocket watch. Battered, scratched. The chain was broken, but on the front, engraved into the worn metal, was a specific emblem. A jagged lightning bolt, crossing a shield. Dr. Sterling froze. The color drained from his face so fast he looked like he might faint. The lobby disappeared. The noise faded. The cold Chicago wind vanished. All Dr. Sterling could see was that watch. He took a step forward, then another. He looked like a man walking into a fire. Where did you get that? Dr. Sterling whispered. It was my dad's, Leo said. He told me it was magic. He said it keeps time for the people who matter. Leo stepped forward. He placed the watch on top of the pile of crumpled bills. Take it, Leo said. Please, it's all I have left. Dr. Sterling reached out, his hand. The hand that could stitch a barely beating heart with the precision of a machine was trembling. He picked up the watch. He turned it over. His thumb rubbed against the back of the case. He knew what he would find there. He prayed he wouldn't find it, but he knew he would. There was an inscription, 3 words, duty, honor, Marcus, Marcus. Dr. Sterling closed his eyes. Suddenly, he wasn't in a hospital lobby in Chicago. He was 24 years old. He was a private first class. He was pinned down in a valley in Afghanistan, bleeding out from a piece of shrapnel in his leg. The dust was choking him. The enemy was closing in. He was going to die. He knew it. And then, a shadow had fallen over him. A sergeant, a man he barely knew, a man named Sergeant Miller. Miller had dragged him 2 miles under fire, 2 miles with a shattered shoulder. Miller had gotten him to the chopper. Miller had stayed behind to cover the extraction, and just before the doors closed, Miller had shoved this watch into Marcus's hand. Keep it for me, kid, Miller had yelled over the roar of the rotors. Give it back when I see you stateside, but Miller never came stateside. Marcus had looked for him for years. The military said missing in action. Then, presumed dead. Marcus had kept the watch for 10 years. Then, in a moment of grief, he had mailed it to the only address on file for Sergeant Miller's family. A thank you he could never speak. He had never heard back, and now, here it was. Dr. Sterling opened his eyes. He looked at Leo, really looked at him. He saw the jawline. He saw the stubborn set of the shoulders. He saw the father, in the son. What is your last name, Leo? Dr. Sterling asked. His voice was thick, choked. Miller, Leo said. My name is Leo Miller. Dr. Sterling let out a breath that sounded like a sob. He looked at the pile of crumpled bills, the $42, the mayonnaise jar. He looked at the boy who was willing to sell his father's memory to save his sister's future. Dr. Sterling gripped the watch tight in his hand. He looked at Brenda. Brenda was crying. She didn't know why, but she was crying. Dr. Sterling turned to the security guard who had started to approach. Stand down, he barked. He knelt in front of Leo. He didn't care about the $5,000 suit. He didn't care about the wet floor. Leo, he said. He took the watch and gently, reverently, placed it back into Leo's hand. He closed the boy's fingers over it. You keep this. You never give this away. Do you understand me? Leo's face fell. He thought he had been rejected. He thought it wasn't enough. But Leo stammered, the money, it's not enough. No, Dr. Sterling said. He stood up. He seemed taller now, not arrogant, just strong. It's not enough. He reached into his own pocket. He pulled out his wallet. He took out a card. He turned to Brenda. Book O.R.1, he said. Clear my schedule for the afternoon. Cancel the golf. Cancel the donor dinner. But Dr. Brenda said, wiping her eyes, the billing department, the insurance. Tell billing that the debt was paid, Dr. Sterling said. He looked down at Leo. Tell them it was paid 15 years ago in a valley halfway around the world. He put a hand on Leo's shoulder. Your money is no good here, son. Your sister gets the surgery, today. Leo didn't understand the history. He didn't know about the war. He didn't know that the man standing in front of him owed his entire life to the watch in Leo's pocket. All Leo knew was that the scary doctor was crying and that Maya was going to be okay. Thank you, Leo whispered. Dr. Sterling shook his head. No, Leo, thank you. The surgery took 6 hours. It was the most complicated procedure Dr. Sterling had performed in a decade. He didn't take a break. He didn't sit down. He worked with a focus that terrified his nurses. He wasn't just fixing a valve. He was paying a debt. When he finally walked out of the operating room, it was dark outside. The snow was falling harder. In the waiting room, Leo was asleep on a plastic chair. His mother was there now. She had rushed from her second job, still wearing her waitress uniform, looking terrified and exhausted. Dr. Sterling walked over to them. The mother stood up. Her hands were shaking. Doctor, she asked. Dr. Sterling smiled. It was the first real smile Brenda had seen on his face in years. She's going to be fine, Mrs. Miller. She's waking up now. Her heart is strong. The mother collapsed into the chair, sobbing with relief. Leo woke up at the sound. He rubbed his eyes. He saw the doctor. Is she fixed? Leo asked. She's fixed, Dr. Sterling said. Leo reached for the jar on the floor. The money was still there. He held it out again. You take it, Leo said, for the hospital. Dr. Sterling laughed, a genuine, warm laugh. He took the jar. Okay, Leo, we'll make a deal. I'll take the $42. He paused. But I'm starting a fund with it. The Sergeant Miller Fund, for families who need a miracle. Dr. Sterling kept his word. Maya walked out of the hospital 2 weeks later. She was holding Leo's hand, but the story didn't end there. Someone in the waiting room had taken a picture. A blurry photo of a small boy in a big coat, handing a mayonnaise jar of quarters to the chief of surgery. They posted it online. By the time Maya was discharged, the photo had been shared 4 million times. People didn't know about the watch. They didn't know about the war. They just saw a brother who loved his sister enough to give everything he had. Donations poured in, not to the hospital, but to the address Brenda had quietly slipped to a local reporter. Thousands of dollars, then tens of thousands, enough to pay off the Millers' debts, enough to fix the heating in their apartment, enough to make sure Leo never had to shovel snow without gloves again. 6 months later, Dr. Sterling received a package at his office. There was no return address. Inside was a small box and a letter written in crayon, Dear Dr. Marcus. Dad said the watch keeps time for the people who matter. You saved Maya, you matter. Love, Leo. Dr. Sterling opened the box. Inside lay the silver pocket watch, the lightning bolt, the shield. He held it in his hand. He felt the weight of it. He walked over to his window and looked out at the Chicago skyline. He had won awards. He had made millions. He had saved thousands of lives. But as he placed the watch on his desk, right next to the picture of his own family, Dr. Marcus Sterling knew one thing for sure. This was the only payment he had ever received that truly mattered. He touched the glass face of the watch. The second hand was still ticking, strong, steady, unstoppable, just like the love of a brother with a mayonnaise jar, just like the promise of a soldier who never came home. Dr. Sterling smiled, picked up the phone, and dialed the front desk. Brenda, he said, send the next patient in. He was ready to work. Because some debts are never fully paid, you just keep paying them forward, one beat at a time.